Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Today we're going to be talking about the MASIMO Radius T study. And the PI for this study is Dr. Neil Fleming. So let's start by talking a bit about the background of the study. The main device that we'll be looking at is the Radius VSM device, which has been developed by the MASIMO Corporation. This device is used to monitor temperature along with other vitals and is able to collect this information for up to 2 hours and store it. This is useful for the medical professionals treating the patient, as it is able to inform them both about the patient's current status of health, along with how it has changed over time. The Radius VSM is a wireless system that consists of a small monitor, which goes onto the patient's arm, along with 3 electrodes, which goes onto the patient's chest. You can see a picture of this on the top right. The system also consists of a device called Radius T, which is a reusable thermometer patch. It is involved in collecting information about the patient's temperature and transmits it to the monitor through the VSM system. You can also see a picture of this on the bottom right. The sensor used for the system goes onto the patient's chest under their clavicle. The adhesive used to attach the sensor to the patient's body is meant to be non-toxic and non-irritant in order to not cause any discomfort to the patient. It is also meant to not transfer heat, as this could conflict with the data regarding to the patient's temperature. The sensor stays on the patient's chest for about 30 minutes in order to reach their body temperature before beginning transmission of information. Now let's talk a bit about the purpose of the study. The main purpose is to determine whether the Radius T and Radius VSM devices are as effective as traditional methods at collecting temperature of the patient. These devices and the concept behind them, especially with them being wireless, are especially important in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic. The devices are able to allow for there to be less direct contact between the medical team and the patient, along with allowing important vital signs to be monitored remotely. This is able to help prevent further spread of infection, while also being more convenient for the medical team. Additionally, data collected in the study can be used to help develop new medical devices that measure temperature. Something to keep in mind is that these devices have not been approved by the FDA, which means that these devices are considered to be investigational. Alright, now let's talk about the inclusion-exclusion criteria for the study. So the only inclusion criteria that we are screening for is the patient's age, and they should be between ages 1 and 5. Please note that we are including patients that are 1 or 5 years old. As we are only enrolling pediatric patients for the study, you would only screen in Pod A. The exclusion criteria is a little bit more complicated. The patient would have to be excluded if they have any conditions at or around the site of the sensor placement, or any skin abnormalities that affect the sensor placement area, as this could prevent accurate monitoring of physiological parameters of the study. Some examples of such conditions are psoriasis, which is a condition where the patient has red, itchy patches, eczema, angioma, which is where the patient has a benign growth, scar tissue, burns, fungal infections, and substantial skin breakdowns. In order to find out if the patient has any such condition, you can go on the EMR and check in notes, or you can also check out the problems list. You can also find out by talking to the nurse treating the patient. The other way a patient can be excluded from the study is if the investigator deems that the patient is not suitable for the study. This would be determined at their discretion. Now let's talk about the RA responsibilities for the study. We are responsible for screening patients from 1:30 to 9 p.m., as this is when the anesthesiology team is available to apply the device. We are also responsible for informing the RCs or JSs of any potential patients, along with assisting them with the enrollment procedure. As we are only enrolling pediatric patients, the RCs and JSs will consent the parents and guardians of the patient. Something to keep in mind is that consent is not available in other languages, so we will only be screening for English-speaking patients. Alright then, that's it for the study. I've also put a few links in the description box down below that further explains the MASIMO devices in case you are interested about learning more about them. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the head trainer or senior trainers. I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye!